In this particular lecture, let's go ahead and let's make use of ChartJS to visually represent this data which we have inside our table. So in order to draw charts here on our web page, we will be making use of a library called as ChartJS. So simply go to Google and search for ChartJS and click on the first link which pops up. And this is going to redirect you to this page. And here we are interested in documentation. So let's go inside there. And in here, there are a couple of versions of ChartJS. So there's ChartJS 2, 3, and 4. So 2 is a lot older and 4 is quite a bit new. So we will be sticking with version 3 as of now. So in here, for the documentation version, simply select the version, which is this one. And now here it's going to give you the code which you could use to set up ChartJS on your website. So in here, as you can see, you could either install ChartJS from npm or you could use the CDN. So for now, we will be using CDN. So let's click on the ChartJS CDN link. So in here, while selecting the ChartJS CDN version, make sure that you make use of the version which is the current version. So the current version, as we all know, it's actually version 3.0.2 which we have selected. So make sure that you select the same thing over here, just 3.0.2, and then let's simply copy this, which is copy HTML. I could go back here to VS Code, and as we want to use this in index.html, I will load that particular script tag up over here. And this script tag is going to be for ChartJS. And again, in order to implement charts, we are going to add a script tag here, which is going to contain the JavaScript code, which is going to control our chart. So now let's go ahead. Let's get this code, which is going to power up our chart. So first of all, to draw a chart, we need a canvas. So let's copy the canvas code from here. And as we want to display that particular canvas right below this table, what we will do is we'll go right where the div ends, which is this div right here. Again, create another div, which is going to be obviously flex. And inside this, again, create another div with a class which says the width is going to be 1/2. Let's add a shadow LG to this to identify the boundaries. Let's say the margin on the left is 10. And let's do the same thing. Let's add another div here, which is going to span another half for other chart. So this is going to be W-1/2, shadow LG and ML10. And inside this one, now, first of all, I would have a heading which would say something like, let's say this one needs to calculate the expense spread across categories. So I would say expense spread across categories. And then after this H1 tag, I would go ahead and add the canvas, which is nothing but our actual chart. So we won't set any width or height for this chart. So let's delete that. Instead, I would add a class and set the margin to 10. Do the same thing with this H1 as well, that is set the margin to 10. Okay. So now once we have this canvas, if I go back to the browser, you shouldn't be able to see anything here, just a blank canvas. But now in order to actually add a chart, you would need this particular code which powers up our chart. So let's get this code, which is the JavaScript code, and you will be able to see that this code is inside the script tag. So let's go inside the script tag which we have created and kind of paste this code up over here. So we won't be getting into the details of this code as of now, but just remember that this JavaScript code get access to my chart by making use of the ID of this canvas. Once it gets the access to that chart, it gets the context. It creates a new chart, passes in that context over here, and then it sets up the different parameters for that chart. So now if I go back and hit refresh, as you can see, now we have a chart added up over here. And modifying this particular chart is quite simple. Now, as we want to display the expenses across all the categories, the type of chart which we want here is a pie chart. So in order to change the type of this chart from bar to pie, I would simply say pie here. Go back, hit refresh, and as you can see, now we have a pie chart. Now you'll also be able to see that there are different labels here like the red, blue, green, yellow, and these labels which we have here, we want to replace them with these categories which we have, which is business, food, personal, or any other category which we add. So we basically want to go ahead and kind of change the labels to dynamic one and get the values from here. And also The distribution of these is actually dependent on this array. So for example, red's value is showing up to be 12. So if I hover over red, it says 12. So let's say if I make this 120, it's going to span a lot more area. So instead of having this random set of values, we want to get the values from here, which are nothing but the expenses. That means now we have to write our very own JavaScript code to get the value from this table and kind of put them up over here inside this chart. So let's learn how to do that in the next lecture.